Okay. Where's our audio here? All right. Let's do this. Let's. All right. All right. Yo, what's up, Martest? I mean, yeah, I decided this week I'm gonna do a couple of evening streams, so I'll be on Thursday night as well. So, I mean, it's not that late for me. It's only 7 p.m., but yeah, just because I haven't been sleeping that great. So, it's been a bit of a challenge, getting up for a 8 a.m. stream. Plus, I just wanted to be able to put a bit more time into it, and I'm not really going to be around much on the weekend, so I can't get a Saturday stream in. So I figured, you know what, let's just do a couple of evening streams this week. And yeah, just seemed like the thing to do. And welcome everyone, Cosmonaut, hello, Rexorat, welcome. I'm sorry it's 3 a.m. for you. I don't know why you're awake. Viscera, I hope you're doing well. Gotta figure out some more, a few more dragons in here. So I had another version, like the original, original version, which was this one, right? Which I loved it, and so I was like, yeah, I want to do something with this, but I wasn't sold on the dragons and the composition and all that stuff. So then I did this, where I like the design of the dragons a bit more, but then I decided that I'm gonna do it on a 24 by 36 inch panel, which is a little bit wider than the ratio I have here. So that's why I'm doing this one. I brought these dragons over to here and just gonna be filling them out a little bit more and then detailing them out a bit more. And yeah, we're basically just gonna be drawing dragons tonight. That's it. So yeah. Dragons. Thanks, Cosmonaut. Yeah, I like it a bit wider screen as well. I started prepping the panel for it too, because it takes some time. I used to gesso my wood panels. I hate working on gesso now, so I do an oil ground, and that it takes time. You got to prep it like way ahead of time. Um, and I have it basically each of these squares in the grid is a 2-inch square, right? So that's my current drawing grid on here. So, you know, it's a pretty good sized piece. I do want another one with like its jaws wide open. Spend the night with dragons. And it's tough because, like, I want them all to be a bit different, but I don't want so much variety that, you know, because, like, too much and it can get silly. Although, I can also unify them a lot more with color, right? Like, they could be... Whoa! Raid right off the bat. Hello, welcome, Raiders. Darcy Art. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Bitcoin Crypto Man. How you doing? Welcome in, my friends. We're like just getting started here. Working on kind of fleshing out this piece that will eventually be a, you know, big oil painting. Darcy Art, welcome in. Thank you for that raid. How was your stream? I hope it was a good one. And if there's anything you would like to show from your stream, please feel free to post a link in the chat. We love to welcome our raiders with that. So, and for anyone who doesn't know who I am, my name is Daniel Landerman. I work as an illustrator and sketch artist doing entertainment advertising, so helping to create movie posters and TV posters and video game covers and all the key art goodness. That's my day job. Outside of work, I kind of just do whatever pops into my head, which has been, you know, various things of late. I think we did this one on stream. We'd done that one on stream. I did not do that one on stream. I did not do that on stream. I don't think. Hey, we welcome all the weirdos here too. We're okay with that. One of these days I will finish this one, which we have also done on stream. I feel like it's so close. It really doesn't need that much more, so I really should just finish it. We'll get there eventually, right? Oh, there's boobies in there. I can't show that. Don't ban me, Twitch. We did that one on stream too. Did not do that on stream. I have to be careful. I don't know what is TOS friendly in here. Okay, we're safe for a few images at least. So yeah, this is stuff that I'll do. The kinds of things that I'll do outside of work. With that one. Yeah, that one, you know, I keep thinking like, oh, I should finish it, but it's kind of like where it is. It's not done, but it's like it would just be kind of rendering some things here and there. And again, this is another one. It really wouldn't take that much to finish it, so I really should just finish it. But you know, you get inspired to do other stuff, and off you go, right? So whatever. We're working on other stuff tonight. Yeah, Darcy Art, do you want to show us what you worked on your stream? Or if you don't have it anywhere where you can show it, you can also just plug your socials for us. We'd love to check out your socials as well. No, it was not, Martest. We barely even got started. But that's okay. That's cool. I'm down with that. It's funny because there are ways that I would normally design dragons, and this isn't far off, but I also want them to have some kind of a sense of movement, so I'm not going too crazy with some of the things that I would normally do, because I just want the whole thing to be kind of, charging forward, and so I don't want to get too crazy with horn shapes. That'll sort of break up that flow. I might move this guy actually. I think. Whoa, ellipse. No ellipse. Weird art station. All right, on. Cool. I dig your lightning tiger. I'm a fan of big cats, so it's a no-brainer for me. Nice. Right on. What were you? What kind of stuff were you doing today on your stream? Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that, Darcy. That's kind of how I use ArtStation as well. I mean, I've posted a lot of my sketches up there, but I do tend to. Oh damn. Let's not knock our shit down. But yeah, I tend to curate my ArtStation a little bit more as well. So I understand. Alright, I want a... Now we have to move it up, actually. The hard part when we get into the, all of these dragons is we start pretty quickly building up some tangents if we're not careful. And some of that, we can avoid later on when we start throwing some tone on, because you can sort of lose some edges here and there, and so then the tangents might not become as much of an issue. But it's sometimes it's hard to know until you actually like dig into it where that stuff is gonna land. I want to get these guys roughed in here so that I can just start getting into the real drawing aspect. The nice thing about dragons is there's kind of no wrong way to draw them. I mean, you know, within the world that you're setting up, I suppose there could be a wrong way to draw them. And you could still end up with a stupid-looking dragon. In which case, I suppose that would be a wrong way, but... Hey, Raphael, how's it going? Good evening, my friend. Alright, we're gonna get... this, like... There's definitely a surreal quality to this, right? Like, there's no indication of where the ground plane is. We don't know what, you know... what the women are standing on or anything like that. And I'm okay with that. We don't really need to know. Now I kind of want to move... No, I like him where he is. All right. I was considering moving that guy in a different position, but I think it's fine where he is. It's fine where it is. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So I want a bigger dragon, like a big one hinted at in the background, and I'm just trying to think of where to place its eye, and I think it'll be right here. So just like epic scale, right? Clearly, someone did something very bad if she's sicking all these dragons on them. Someone's about to have a real bad day. Hey, Shadow Walk, how you doing? I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. But I know it's tough since I had changed my stream time. So it's great to see you. Great to see you, as always. And thank you. Yeah, we're just kind of reworking this a bit. I'm going to jump into the details on the dragons here pretty quick. I'm not totally sold on that guy being tucked behind, but at the same time, I like just playing with scale and showing that there's like smaller ones and giant ones, and I like the variety that it lends. And I can separate them a little more when I get into the actual values. So, yo, Sariana, how you doing? How are you doing? Yeah, I mean, we will, we're gonna get into the details on the dragons here pretty quick, like right about now. So that's what it's gonna be. And then I'll need to start kind of painting some stuff up. The Big Schmeegster. Thanks for the follow. Thank you. Alright, let's see. Who's our front dragon? Let's just work front to back. How about that? Shit, I don't remember which pencil I was using. There's another pencil one. That one, I think. I think that's what I was using. All right. Let's do this. I just need to test and make sure this is a good size. I'm not as familiar with this one, but I wanted something that was a little more, pencil-y. So and thank you, Big Schmeegster. I appreciate that. Yeah, this one I think will be a lot of fun to get into with the painting. I'm going to keep the palette really limited. I'm not even sure yet if I'm going to like really add color. If I do, I mean, it'll be like, it's going to be a super desaturated like iron oxide base. And then if I add color, it'll literally be like nudging things a little cooler or warmer here and there. So what I may end up doing ultimately, I may end up doing like a underpainting, like a grisaille painting, doing like a dead layer, and then maybe glazing some colors in, really subtle. But then I want to do, because I'm on this gold leaf kick and I just want to like gold leaf everything. So I'm going to do some like gold leaf on the patterns on the dragons and stuff. That's my plan. It's going to be a process though, because everything takes time to dry. Ain't no way around it. And I should have that Guardian Demon piece finished tomorrow night. I was gonna do it this weekend and kind of just wasn't really in the mood. So, and you know, when you're gold leafing stuff, you just gotta be present. It's not difficult to do. It's just because that stuff is so delicate. Oh, another raid. Koi Ghost. Yay, Koi. What's up, dude? How are you, my friend? So you guys can see what we're doing. What we're working on. A rush of dragons for a future painting. Koi, I'm doing well. Thanks for bringing your peeps over here. For those who don't know, my name is Daniel Landerman. I work in advertising, entertainment advertising, helping to create key art for film, TV, and video games. That's my day job. And outside of the day job, I kind of, do illustrations and stories, visual stories, and a bit of writing and all that stuff. We can look at some of the things we've done on stream here. I don't think that was on stream though. Yeah, all kinds of different things. No, Koi, I totally understand. Totally get it. Thank you so much for the raid. You guys, if you don't follow Koi Ghost, follow Koi Ghost. She does awesome stuff. Not only is she a tattoo artist, but I would say she's also an illustrator because, she'll do awesome designs for future tattoos in Procreate, and they're just beautiful as illustrations. So give Koi a follow. We're gonna do, where's my keyboard here? We've got to follow Koi Ghost, follow Darzy Art. Give our raiders a follow. Show them some love. They're awesome. We're basically going to be spending the night with dragons tonight. That's pretty much what we've got on the docket for this evening. So, just FYI. Painting Cyrix, thanks for the follow. Johnny416, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So how's everyone's evening? If it's evening for you. Apparently for some people it's like 3 in the morning. Whatever time it is for you, how is it going? I hope everyone's fantastic on this what is a Tuesday evening for me here in the Los Angeles area. I always kind of get torn with dragons. Like I don't like to get into a whole bunch of scales and because I like to hint at some of that stuff, but as soon as you get into painting all of it, you're just kind of asking for trouble, and good luck like creating any kind of real movement if you have to sit there and detail the hell out of a ton of scales. For a single piece, it's super fun actually to do that, but for a like single piece meaning a single dragon, I think it's fun to get into that because the design of the scales and the way that they move across the body, I think, can be super fun. But for this many and thinking about an oil painting, no, I'm not going to get into a bunch of scales. I'll hint at some of the larger plates and stuff maybe, but I actually love coffee at night, but it will keep me up. Oh, was it Shadow Walk? Oh, I'm not judging you, Rexorat. I'm just sorry that you can't sleep. And you're right, Martez. There's nothing wrong with spending the night with dragons. There are far, far worse ways an evening could go. Some of these things, like, okay, I hinted at some details, but I have to actually kind of figure out what the hell they are and what they're doing. Oh, so are you doing all new like landscaping and stuff? I know, Sariana, I used to get decaf coffee just so I could have it at night, but then I found I wasn't drinking it often enough, so I would have like, one or two a week, and then most of the bag would end up going to waste, and because the beans would get old, and that's not fun. So I just kind of stopped. It's like, whatever. Easier to do like some decaf black tea or something. What's funny though is if I have dinner, I can do like a shot of espresso after dinner, and it doesn't keep me awake. But but I can't do like a full latte and be able to go to sleep after that. I always tend to do these big jaw muscles, kind of like a jaguar mixed with a bearded dragon kind of a vibe. And I feel like it comes from as a kid when I first saw the cover for Legend of Huma, the Dragonlance book. I was in like 3rd or 4th grade or something. And I just remember that dragon had kind of like feline structure to it. And for whatever reason, that really like stuck in my head. As a youngster. By the way, Shadow Walk, if you go and watch the VOD from Saturday, you can see Tiny Girlfriend joining me on stream. We did a dual stream on Saturday, me and her. It was fun. It was nice to have her on there. She was working on a cute lingerie fairy. And I was just drawing random whatever. Alright. Ah, good, Viscera. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, we'll get her back on here. Faux show. Alright, let's see. What? And yeah, she enjoyed it too, so, you know, it'll be... Yeah, it probably won't be like a regular thing, but we'll definitely do some more. Thanks, Oz. Yeah, I'm really liking this, and you know, originally I had it formatted for 22 by 30 inch watercolor paper, right? And I was going to do more ink and gold leaf. But then as I was just trying to think of like how to really execute these dragons, I felt like they needed more volume than that, you know, in a way that the ink wouldn't really do. Not that you can't. I hate cross hatching. I'm not gonna do it on a piece this size. So I'm reformatting it to be a 24 by 36 inch oil painting. So that's what we're doing right now, detailing this out a bit, and then I'm gonna start figuring out the values and all that to kind of create our digital comp. Reagan, it's just a raid night, huh? Tuesday raid night. I'm okay with that. Reagan, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I hope your raid was good. I mean, your stream. I can't have streamer brain already. We just started. Your streams are always good though, so I'm not worried about that. You guys, if you don't know Reagan, we've raided him a couple times, but I think it's been a while. Let's see if I can get the right. If you don't know Reagan Lodge, go follow Reagan Lodge. He's working on an awesome looking graphic novel that's a beast. How many pages is it, man? It's big, right? Yeah, you're like the third like good size raid in 45 minutes. Yeah, 200 page graphic novel. Man, that is quite the undertaking. I have a hard time getting past like the third page anytime I've tried to do my own book like that. So props to you. For Reagan's people, if you don't know who I am, my name is Daniel Landerman. I work as an illustrator and sketch artist doing entertainment advertising. So I do key art for film and TV and video games. That's my day job. Outside of the day job, you know, I do kind of whatever pops into my head, oftentimes very narrative kind of stuff. I've been sort of slowly developing this fantasy world that I'm working on writing within. So that's what a lot of this stuff is. Just moments and characters and whatnot, just so I can like get a sense of what my own visuals are like. Boobies, can't show those. Sorry TOS, sorry Twitch. Don't freak out. Anyway, so I do a lot of this stuff, and we've done a lot of these on stream actually. So that's kind of fun. So that's what I do. Reagan, if you want to share what you were working on, you can. You don't have to. If you want to share your socials, you can totally share your socials with us. You guys follow Reagan Lodge in all the places. He's a badass. He's a badass, I have to say. And yeah, lately I've been kind of like trying to also wrap my head around stuff that's maybe a little more conceptual, not as like straight up narrative, in the sense not necessarily trying to do like a moment in a story, you know? So something that maybe could have a little bit of a fine art feel, but still being true to my kind of aesthetics and the things that I love to draw and paint. So you guys follow Reagan's Insta. Because he's dope. He's also really fun to watch. Like, I think that's one of the things that I've always loved about anyone doing, comics and graphic novels. Similar to animation, there starts to be a very kind of direct nature to their drawing that I love. And it's hard to get that any other way beside the just sheer mileage. So, let's see. So cool. So is this like a splash page or like a cover or a promo illustration? That's so cool. Even just the way it is. That's a sketch artist in me coming out. Like, oh, this is such a cool, like, I love it. I love it. It's so rad. Fuck yeah. I'm trying to think if I signed up for the launch notification. If I didn't, I did now. So, signed up. Cool. Well, I mean, it looks great. There's like a great sense of movement, and just the way it is. It's similar, right? When you see animation roughs and stuff, they have a similar kind of vibe to them. By the way, this is gonna be like a digital comp for an oil painting. I want to do a 2x3 foot oil painting of this with like some gold leaf applied on the dragons and stuff, and hopefully it'll be cool. We'll see. Hell yeah, man. I love your stuff. It actually seems like kind of an early night for you, right? Yeah, I'm glad you stopped by, man. Thanks so much for that raid. I'm so used to you being on like super, super late. I think that's why usually like we've raided you. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? Because I just always have to hint. I just feel like I need to get, some kind of hint of the ear canal on these guys. Maybe there's like some... This is where I'll get into some of the scales just to like indicate a bit of pattern and stuff, and then but I don't go in like detail out every single one. 'Cause who's got time for that? Not me. Right on. All right, Reagan. Thanks so much for stopping in, bringing your family over, your stream family. I appreciate it. Again, anyone in here who is not already following Reagan Lodge, go do it. One fun thing, and this is something I think discovered actually through doing like is really that first piece for hardcover 2. It was like I hadn't really done something outside of some things for work, right? Where it's like, okay, we have a cast of 12 people, but they're people still, right? So, and chances are they're all in suits or something like that. But when I did basically for hardcover 2, it was like a demon orgy, I guess. One of the things I discovered through doing that was just like I didn't have to just decide, oh, this is the character that's in this illustration. Instead, I was like, okay, well, there are 8. And so I have all kinds of options and there's all kinds of variety that I can put into this, and I found that to be really fun. And so did another group adventure for hardcover 3, which was also super fun. And so that's one of the things that I'm thinking about with this is that I have all these dragons and I don't have to say, oh, this looks cool, but that's not the dragon that I'm painting, I can say like, oh, yeah, this is cool. I'm going to put that on one of the dragons and I'll do this on another one and this on another one, so we can get some variety in here. Luckily, like, I spend a lot of time observing all the birds that come by my bird feeder during the day. Just got visited by a little white-breasted nuthatch today. And it's fun to see the different ones that come through, migrating through. So you've got the ones that are here year-round, and then you have others that kind of come and go depending on the season. And so just seeing the variety in them, that's kind of what I'm thinking of here to a degree as well. And I almost did dragons that had more feathery or like fur kind of qualities, but I was like, no, that it won't fit with putting the gold leaf on as much, Do I have a favorite bird? You mean that comes by my my bird feeder? I think I absolutely love the goldfinches. It's not the California goldfinch, it's the lesser goldfinch. I don't see the actual California goldfinches. They're a little bigger, I think. But the lesser goldfinch is super cute, really tiny, and just has this like really cute high-pitched kind of whistle that's just very melodic. And then I love the damn it, I'm trying to think. It's a type of wren. It's a little wren. They're super cute as well. They look like a little bird balloon with a long beak and white eyeliner. Super cute. And then I love, they don't come by my bird feeder, but we have red whiskered bulbuls here, which are actually native to India. Weird that they're obviously like they got imported here and then escaped or were let free. I don't know. But really rich, beautiful sound that they make. I love their song. But they don't really eat the stuff that's in the bird feeder, so they don't come by there. I always tend to see them higher up in the trees. At some point, I will need to figure out the patterning on these guys that will have that gold leaf. So, but one thing at a time, right? Cosmonaut. I know. I love the birds. They're so cute. Yeah, some of those hawks. Some of those hawks get big. Like you see a red-tailed hawk up close. They're not small. Or like a red shoulder hawk is much smaller. We'll get this little Cooper's hawk that'll kind of be cruising around here, and they're really not big. You know, head to feet, like maybe about a foot, and then give another, I don't know, 6 inches for the tail. They're really not that big. Thing almost took my head off. We were sitting outside and it tried to grab a dove off the wall at my girlfriend's place, and it seriously, like, it went right by my head. I didn't hear a thing. It just like swooped right by, wings all tucked in, banks like right up over the wall like a little fighter plane. It's pretty awesome. I love red wing blackbirds. Their song, it sounds like a weird digital, like a little video game song. I love it. I don't really see them down here, but I would see them all the time up in Northern California. All right, let's see. Let's see where our bigger horns are here. Oof. Yeah. Damn, I'm surprised the hawk, it wasn't an eagle? It was like, it's a hawk? I mean, granted, Yorkies get pretty small as well. So, damn, that sucks. I love hawks, but yeah, sometimes it's just like, ugh. Nature, you're kind of an asshole. Like, you know? It's like I sit here and feed the birds, and every now and then I'll when I go out to water the plants and stuff, I'll see a tuft of feathers, and clearly one of the neighborhood cats got one of the sparrows. I'm like, I love cats. What can you do? You know? Also, someone had asked, and I'm sorry, I totally didn't respond. I think it was right about when we got rated. Someone had asked about a creature book. If I knew like a book for designing creatures, I think is what it was. Yeah, cats are, little killing machines. I have no illusions about what my cat would be like if she was large. She's already a little demon child at times. And she's only like 12 pounds or something. Art of the Cub. Thanks for that follow. Alright. Some of these, like, trying to decide on what I want those like back spines to be like. We can give something a little more robust on the head, and then maybe lighten them up a little bit in weight, right? Remember those tangents we were talking about? There's only so much you can do when you just have spikes going every which way. Hydrate, hydrate. Yeah, actually my cat, I mean, I got her when she was tiny, right? She was a rescue. And she was like 5 weeks old about when I got her. And I mean, it must have just been instinct or something, because ceiling fans would freak her out, right? If she walked into the room and there was a ceiling fan, even if it wasn't going, she would like suddenly see it and just like duck for cover under something. So I'm like, damn, she had strong instincts for such a tiny little thing. And it's interesting to kind of I feel like those instincts are not as strong in dogs, because they're, I don't know why exactly. Obviously most dogs are far too large for a hawk, but not all of them. Yeah, I saw a horned owl the other night, too, which was fun. I like those guys. It was a young one, sitting there screeching away for its parents. It wanted food. I'm like, dude, you look plenty big. Get your own food. Oh. Oh, yeah. Seals. For sure. Seals and sea lions. I mean, hell, with sea lions, you wouldn't even want to go out there as a human. Those bulls can get pretty territorial. See, again, like when I sketch it in, I'm just like do shapes, and now I'm like, all right, what is this anatomy doing exactly? Gotta actually figure this out. Let's start with a little bit of a base here. Start figuring out the larger shapes, and all the spikiness is just sort of put on top of that. I mean, in the UK, you get some cool stuff out in the wild, though, right? I would assume. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really spent any time in the UK beyond flying through Heathrow. That's about the closest. We were going to go to Scotland last year, and then, of course, pandemic. This crazy coronavirus started rearing its ugly head. So we still want to get out to Scotland, though. Debating if I want maybe kind of what we hinted at here, but almost like a some kind of like a plate. On the top part of the head. Something. Kind of Triceratops style. So, since they know at this point that dinosaurs had feathers, or at least a lot of them did, have they like expanded on what Triceratops might have really looked like? Because I'm having a hard time imagining, unless it's just like super frilly. Wouldn't that be awesome that armor plating is actually just like shit tons of like peacock feathers? That'd be rad. Ooh, Paradox, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, grab a link. I want to see this. Because like some of them you can, I can imagine if I haven't seen something already. But some of them, I'm like, really? They're just so not bird-like. So I don't know if like all of them had feathers or not, right? Or if... Alright, I'm not liking the angle of that one. So nature doesn't tend to do random, right? Things kind of tend to spread out from a central point in some way, or follow the shapes, the natural shapes and contours of the body. So that's where it's like, I don't want to end up with a bunch of kind of random angles. I'm not trying to necessarily be like, scientifically, what would a dragon really look like? But at the same time, I don't want it to just feel random. Let's see here. Oh, let's see. Oh, Moose. You. You ever get those emails from LinkedIn that are like, top job picks for you? And some of them are just so random. Like, art director, illustration, working for Uber. No thanks. I'm a animation director at Netflix, would be pretty sweet. I'm not qualified for it, but... And art director at Santa Monica Studio. Hey, not qualified for that either. Oh. All right. Oh yeah, those titanoboas are ridiculous. I mean, granted, like the anaconda is like, you know, giant. You know? Well, hey, at least you're confident, Capster. Good for you. Although... I don't even know what that means. It's true, Sariana. It's true. Shape. I do need to kind of figure out what is going on with the body, in that if I want do I want some kind of like plates on the back? You know, because that's where it's like, okay, I can get away with them being larger. But I don't know. I might go with something that feels more like a leathery kind of skin, so that I could focus a bit more on the pattern that it would have on the skin, right? Some kind of organic stripes. I kind of like that more, just thinking about putting the gold leaf in the patterns and stuff. I think it would be more interesting to kind of go with something like that, but I have no idea yet what kind of patterning I'll do. My guess is I'll have to look at like reptiles and fish, you know, and see what sort of patterns I want to do. I know absolutely nothing about soccer. But, you know, American football is starting. So, yay. So darken some of these lines for separation, because we can start losing shapes here pretty fast. Since we're not really getting into value yet. Keep wanting to do something there. I'm gonna hold off on worrying about the body beyond where I might want indication of like muscle, right? Which is always a good thing. Yes, Shadowwalk, soccer. I know nothing. Nothing. All right, next we got that big guy. I'm gonna do these on another layer though. And let's layer this all properly. Don't want everything. Oh, actually, this guy first. This little dude. This little dude. I might want to. Let's look at some eyes real quick of a. Possibly a moray eel. Yeah, those are a little too. The only thing with fish eyes is they're always just like round. Giant and round. Yo! Yo! So maybe we are better off going with reptilian. I mean, I'm gonna end up doing kind of my own thing anyway, but you know, not a bad idea to just look at possibilities. Can reference our original bearded dragons. I always like those guys. I like their wedge-shaped heads. They're just cool. Bearded dragons. We can look at crazy snakes like a... damn it, what are they called? It's not what it is. Is it? It's a white-lipped pit viper. Just because of their colors, they're always worth looking at. Because their colors are insane. I don't know how you even get something that color. It's just crazy. Look at this guy. If you're afraid of snakes, don't click. But I do love those white-lipped pit vipers. They are beautiful. You get green ones too, but I like those blue, those blue colored ones. They're so cool. If only they weren't like super deadly, right? Look at that. He's so cool. Anyway. We might go with something a little... Oh. Sorry, text message. Serious stuff. All right. All right, let's look at these guys a little bit. Cool. Right? They're wild. Like that something in nature, like an animal, can be that color is just insane. So one thing that I want to look at, which is always interesting, right? If you see snakes directly head on, I mean, they're not really like a mammal where most predators, right? Most predator mammals, their eyes are facing more forward, right? And the prey, their eyes tend to be more on the side of the head, so that they can see they have better peripheral vision in that regard. Snakes, not like, I don't know if they have true binocular vision or not. Or if they end up with like some kind of crazy 180 degree vision. I have no idea. Reptiles are just crazy. You know, like when you have the chameleons and their eyes are just like, woo, woo. They're licking their eyeballs and whatnot. So I'm just trying to find an image that's a little more head-on, because like I said, I tend to, lean heavily into like the feline sort of 40-degree binocular. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I tend to lean pretty heavily into the feline anatomy and that kind of a head shape. But I'm just curious, can I kind of tweak it and do something a little different? Their eyes are still kind of like facing a little forward, so it's not like they're directly on the side of the head, but because of that wedge shape of their head. So it's kind of just a matter of like getting that rounder eye shape, right? As opposed to these, which are clearly facing a bit more forward, right? Like you would get more on a cat. So I just, just for variety. But then you can have the pupil still, going toward the front. Um, seeing how I want this guy to be different than, you know, be his own unique snowflake. Its own. I don't know if it's a boy. It could all be female dragons for all I know. I think we'll try... Also, who knows how how much any of these will change by the time I actually get them on the panel and, you know, start painting them and stuff. The oil ground that I'm putting on the panel, it's like I do one thin layer and then you have to wait overnight, you know, before you can do a second layer, which is kind of the minimum you want for putting oil paint down. TF Austy, thanks for the follow. But then once you get that second layer down, you have to wait about a week before you can paint on it. So, you know, it's a process. But it's so much nicer to paint on than gesso. Gesso is just not fun. It's so absorbent and just, yeah, not my idea of a good time. Painting on gesso. Which, you know, that's one of those things where it would have been really nice if some teachers in school had pointed that kind of shit out. The amount of time I spent struggling against gesso and like couldn't even get the paint to lay down the way I wanted to until I had like a couple of pretty good layers of paint laid down, and then it would start to work the way that I wanted it to work. Had one of my teachers has been like, "Oh yeah, use oil ground instead of gesso. It'll get those marks that you're looking for." Oh shit! Thanks, dude. Now I don't know exactly what the purpose would be of all the teeth pointing forward. Honestly, like, strictly speaking, there wouldn't be much of a purpose. So maybe I'll have the ones in front pointing forward and the other ones pointing back. Right? Because the whole point of them pointing back is so that they can latch onto things and those things can't get away. Criano, thanks for the follow. Slightly translucent, thank you for the raid. Welcome, welcome. That's fair, slightly translucent. How was your stream? What did you work on? And would you like to share with the class? I don't actually like the shapes that are happening here. And let's do... Oh, too close. A little too close. Yep. Please, show us. Show. Oh, right on. Man, children's books are a whole other thing. Right? I mean, some of those deadlines could compete with advertising deadlines. Oh, right on. What, I don't know if you can actually say what it's about, but, no hard deadlines, just pros and cons. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the downside of not having deadlines is like, you can kind of just keep going, or people can keep like making changes, and there's no reason to be like, okay, hey, we need to get this done, right? And I found for myself, I tend to work better with deadlines. Otherwise, I'll just like sit there and hem and haw about who knows what, and or just not finish it, which is why I have a ton of unfinished paintings that I really, really need to finish. But you know, it's not like it used to be where it used to be where if I didn't finish them, I was probably never going to. This, like, I can, you know, sometimes you can just feel the difference, and I can feel that, like, yeah, they'll get done. It just, I need to kind of work on some of these other things that I'm trying to figure out. And in a sense, they're more important right now. So. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I forget which streamer. One of the music streamers. I don't remember if it's Anel or if it's Mermaid Unicorn. I think it's Anel that will often say, yeah, that it's like you don't really go around judging one rose against another, right? Like, to us, each rose is a beautiful flower, and we don't think like, yeah, but this one's prettier, you know. I mean, I can think of instances where we would do that if you were setting up like some kind of a photo shoot and you were the set decorator and you wanted every rose to look like the epitome of the perfect rose. Okay, fine, sure. But in general, when we're walking by a bunch of rose bushes, we're not really sitting there thinking like, nah, I like this one. That one, its petals are lopsided or whatever, right? So, and she always says, like, that's how we need to look at people. Like, stop judging one against the other for everything, you know. And I can get on board with that. I like that. And then, of course, Phil Tomato says, you know, if you look in the mirror, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't think you're attractive, it just means you're not your type. That cracks me up. Also, slightly translucent. Thanks for the follow. Spines and spikes and dragonness. I do like this, and I like the idea that it might have, this one might have some kind of like a crest type of thing, and it's just all fucking spiny. So how's everyone's night progressing? We're getting through this a little bit, little by little. It's tough because I need to get in for the details, but then I need to be able to really pay attention to what these shapes are doing. Like, I don't actually like what's happening with this. We gotta adjust that curve so it feels a little more organic, I think. Something like that. Get our French curves on. Right. And again, always good to get some kind of musculature hinted at in here, right? Which helps give something to, like, you know, turn the form and create some kind of modeling and molding, even in an area that might otherwise be, you know, fairly plain. And it doesn't have to be. I'm going to get markings and stuff on them, but for now, you know, we don't have a whole lot to go off of. So, but we can also do those crazy, like lizards will get those kind of like belly ridges along the sides of the bellies, right? So you can always do something like that. Because I don't know that I really want to get in. I'm never a fan of doing like the big belly scales on dragons. Sometimes, but I go back and forth with it. I don't really love doing that. I have no issues when other people do. I just don't enjoy doing that. Though, I mean, you know, sometimes I will, but you know, on a neck that needs to be really, like, kind of supple and stuff, I don't know. Not totally sold on it. All right, now we'll get into that big guy, but we'll probably move his... Let's move him down a little bit. I don't want his eye, like, right up under the body, right? Because it creates too much kind of not good tension in the composition. Yo, Joey the Saint, how's it going? How are you doing? We're getting through it, man. Dragons, dragons, dragons. I'm doing well. I'm glad I decided to do a couple of evening streams this week. I have not been sleeping the greatest, so getting up early enough to get jamming on a 8 a.m. stream, not happening currently. So this was a nice change, and actually, I was really excited to do this stream today. So. I mean, anyone that streams knows that sometimes it's like, you're like, oh, okay, I said I was going to stream, I got to stream. And then once you get into it, it's fun, So, thank you, Shadowwalk. Thank you. I'm considering, like, with these big dragons, just having, like, you know how, like, you get those gnarly old oak trees, if you've seen any of those old oak trees, they just start getting all kinds of crazy limbs and things growing on them, and so I'm thinking about, with some of these bigger dragons, like, throwing a bit of traditional anatomy out the window, right? Completely, and just being like, dude, teeth just start growing and spikes and barnacles or who knows what else. Not barnacles because they're not in the ocean, but that kind of an idea. Who knows what they are? Little calcium deposits and I don't know. So just like making them very obviously a lot more gnarly than the smaller ones, than the little pups. Which are not so little. Yeah, and well, because sometimes, Joey, it also comes down to, like, sometimes you're just tired, and you're just like, you're not quite feeling it, but then once you start streaming, you get your second wind and you get some energy as you're interacting with people and whatnot. So, sometimes it's just a matter of kind of getting past that point where you're like, well, I could stream, but I could also really take a nap right now. Thanks, Cosmonaut. Oh, it's about to die hard. I'm thinking there are a lot of things that are about to die really hard. Like an entire town or castle of things. I'll read some Ogloff soon, I think. Honestly, I just after the stream, I always forget. I always forget that I was gonna read some Ogloff. All right. I know Joey keeps reminding me, and then I keep forgetting. Well, maybe after all this discussion, I actually will remember. or Joey, just DM me with a reminder. should... Again, just for clarification, even though I think that silhouette is going to change a bit at some point. But, you know, for clarity, I had almost had her like pointing with her other hand, but I think I just liked the quietness of her like this and not even like gesturing, just looking determined. Yo, 10 gifted subs. Autumn. You crazy. You crazy. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, big thanks to Autumn for gifting those subs to Spitz Art, Viscera, Zaydeen Live, Mimi Meow Rar, Florian, Diamond Jin, Cryo Lurkin, we love it, Zulo, Bunny Arts Crafts, and The Damage. No, all good, dude. We all have shit to do, man. Came in hot with those gifted subs, bro. We're just getting our dragon on. Alright, let's get to this guy. I like this one for whatever reason. I mean, I like them all, but... And the other thing I'll have to decide on, so we've got some of these that have their mouths open, right? And so then how much do I want to get into, like, okay, we got to see, you know, the teeth that are on the other side and all that. I feel like we'll have to get into some of that, but I don't think we have to worry about it too much. Right. And this one actually has a bit of a, like a beak going on. And teeth. Or maybe they're not really. I mean, it would have teeth, but maybe these aren't teeth. Maybe it's just kind of a serrated lip. So that we can dazzle pants coming in hot. The party of 5. Yo, Dazzle, what's up? Welcome. Dazzle Pants, thank you for that raid. How was your stream, my friend? And welcome in. Welcome, raiders. How are y'all doing? All right, on. Well, Dazzle Pants, if you want to share what you were working on stream, please do so. We would love to see. Yo, thanks for that follow, Chris Divin. Are you actually going to make that shirt? Chicken seeing the world through buffalo sauce colored glasses. Little Red Draws, thanks for the follow. Thank you. Yeah, we're getting through it. I mean, you know, I still gotta throw in the tone and figure out all that stuff. I'm thinking like pretty subdued lighting. But I'm probably still gonna use some shadows to hide some stuff. But I'm probably gonna lean pretty heavy into a more like pre-Raphaelite type of lighting scenario. They're kind of naturalist sort of vibe, and they tended to not do like crazy dramatic light. And since I'm a fan of most things naturalist, we will lean into that a bit. Okay, so far. The big guy? The one behind her head? Yeah, that'll be... Some of it depends on what I decided to do with the color. And I don't know if I just want to do like really subtle colors or if I'm going to basically have the whole thing kind of monochromatic with, with the gold leaf kind of patterns on the dragons. And I'm not sure yet. Thankfully, we're doing a digital comp first. The bug guy? Let's see, what kind of shape do I want for this guy's head? Thinking that. Oh, big. It's like bug guy, dude. Lay off the cider, bro. Want like multiple kind of plates on this guy. All right, Shadow Walk. So glad you could hang out. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, those that are here, question. So, I tend to not hype my Patreon all that much, not as much as I probably should. I do that with a lot of things, I think. I kind of just am okay with like, oh, it'll grow over time, which is fine in a way. And at other times I'm like, I should probably hype it a bit more. But, and this is not to say like necessarily, hey, go join. I mean, you can go join if you want. Obviously you can do exclamation Patreon, right? Wait, I don't even know where my keyboard is. But, well, I appreciate that, Joey. I beat you to it on him. My question would be, what kind of things would you be interested in seeing? And it's not to say that, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, then I'm going to put it on and you better join. But you better join. No. No, like what kind... So, obviously, I work full-time, right? I don't have, like... Patreon can't be my other full-time job, right? So what I try to do is have it based around the things that I do produce and be able to show bits of process in a way. Like I share PSDs on there. I'll share longer time lapse videos, right? So like 15 to 20 minutes long, as opposed to Instagram where it's like 1 minute, right? But obviously not a real time piece, because not everyone is going to sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours watching stuff. But I feel like in 15 to 20 minutes, it's enough. That's enough time for people to be able to see the process, right? And then I am little by little going to be sharing more thought starters, and like I did with this one, I shared the first pass on this sketch on my Patreon. I do I do some Patreon exclusive images as well. I'll show high res scans as well. Things that you're not going to really see elsewhere. But just kind of wondering, like, if you guys subscribe to other Patreons, what is it that you guys find appealing on those? Or if you don't subscribe to others, like, what would make you consider subscribing? By the way, these are all questions I should have asked long before I ever started a Patreon. And I never did. Like I said, I'm not always the best at... I'm more like, oh, I want to do this. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I want to do more art, so... whatever. Little red draws. I know. I mean, honestly, I do that in a way. I'm not gonna like hit a $20 tier on someone, but I'll do it with other Patreons just because I'm like, look, I want to support other people, right? Spread the money around and spread the love around in that sense. And it's not like I'm on their Patreon 24/7. And some of the artists I support, I don't even do it for the rewards. It's just like, I want to support you doing what you do. Right, which was the original intention of Patreon to begin with. So, it really, like, the rewards were supposed to be kind of an added perk, right, as a kind of a thank you. But it's turned into more than that, and that's fine. Like, it's totally fine. Through mine, you also get, like, at least at the $5 tier, you also get like 15% off anything in the shop. Which, by the way, I'm gonna be doing some. I think I'm gonna be doing some like high-end prints, like limited edition kind of things. I need to finish that crescent moon piece behind me over there. That one, that one right there. Which I'll finish that out tomorrow night. By the way, JT Does Art, thanks for the follow. I'll finish that out tomorrow night, and then I need to kind of talk to a printer about what they think the best way to get a print that looks as close to the original as I can get would be. Because I don't know all the possibilities for printing techniques, and it has gold leaf on it, so it's a little tricky to do. I know I could do some kind of foil on it, but I don't know what would look the best. So, if I had more time, little red draws. I would do something like that. I love what Bluebirdie does, right? And she does these beautiful little prints. Let's see here. Let's see here. Whoa. Whoa. Where did that go? Hello, camera. Jeez. Oops. Why you get so big? Holy crap. I was like, that's a weird, awkward crop. All right. Hello, my friends. Hello. So, Bluebirdie. Absolutely love her work. And she does these beautiful, so she'll do the drawing, she'll print it on watercolor paper, and it's like really beautifully printed. And then she'll do this really quick watercolor on top, right? So it's like artist embellished prints, and it's something she can do really quickly. And that's cool. I love that. And I wish I had a little more time to do that, but I don't really have the time. Well, this is 27 of 80, so she did 80 of these. But again, she's freelance, right? So it's a little different. Patreon currently is really part of her living, right? Whereas for me, like, I have a full-time job, and Patreon ain't even close to competing with that right now. Illustration director and advertising pays a little more than my Patreon does right now. But it's also one of those things where I had started a Patreon, and mind you, this has happened a couple times, both with Patreon and Twitch. I looked, the first time I started live streaming on Twitch was like March of 2016. If I'd kept going, who knows, right? And I can say the same with Patreon. I started a Patreon back in 2014. And, but, you know, I didn't have a following anywhere. I didn't have a big following anywhere. So it was kind of like, I think I had 3 patrons, and they were all my friends, right? One of them was Autumn, and we were basically, the money we had was just going back and forth between our 2 Patreons. So after a while, I was like, okay, look, it's just my friends like paying me right now. This is silly. So I stopped doing it. I should have kept up on it. Easier said than done, mind you, because work got crazy. At the time, it was just Autumn and I sketching full time, and it was a ton of work. So yeah, no, Joey the Saint, that's a very good point, and it's something I think about. It's actually one of the reasons I did a $5 tier on Patreon, right? Is that because it's the same as a sub on Twitch. The only difference is you're not giving Bezos and his cock rocket half of it, right? I can't really be too hostile toward Bezos because I use the shit out of Amazon. So, like, you know, I'd be a major hypocrite if I started hating on him too hard. He is not my favorite person in the world, but fucking Amazon. So convenient. And especially when you live in a place like Los Angeles, and you can literally get like next day delivery, or pre-pandemic you could do with some things 2-hour delivery. What? Come on. Yeah, and that's kind of little red draws. I think that's where those goals come in handy, right? Yo, B, how's it going? How are you doing? And hey, thanks, B. I appreciate that. And yeah, it really is like, obviously the more patrons you have, the more time you can put into it, right? Especially, as I said, I work full time, and that kind of has to be my priority. It's what pays all my bills right now. And I'm getting into creating and selling more original art as well, and I have to say, like, it hasn't been bad. It really hasn't. It's something where I probably should have started selling stuff earlier. It's because at a certain point, if you're going to start selling original stuff, you have to build up kind of a collector base. You have to start. People have to start seeing you as a collectible artist, and if you never sell your originals, they're never going to see you that way. It's not something that's just going to happen. You have to kind of make it happen, right? So that's where I was like, all right, I got to just start putting these things up. And I saw when I'd done the Kickstarter for my book, and most of the originals sold, so that told me that, okay, there's something here, obviously, that people are interested in. That's cool. But it's also hard because I have my like advertising rates, right? What I would charge in advertising, and that was kind of the only thing I have to go off of in terms of starting to set some rates for sketches. Though I don't quite. I think they're getting close to my ad rate. Yeah, they're probably there now. I didn't start right at that point because I was like, no, regardless, it's a different world, right? You can't just come in at the top. You have to kind of build that up a bit. So I've been doing that, working on it. And yeah, B, we're just having fun with some dragons here. Two more, and then, and then we'll be in good shape to start doing the tone. I don't know if we'll get into the tone tonight, but maybe we'll start knocking stuff in real quick at some point, though. Just realize I need to kind of come back and refine some of this stuff a bit. It's always tough when, in this case, this was the first of the dragons that I started refining, and now that I'm more warmed up, do a little bit more. Let's see. This guy actually has almost a little more of a what I would think of as a classic dragon look. The whole time I was doing this, I was just thinking about how stupid those dragons in The Witcher looked. I was talking about that with Autumn, how like that episode would have been so much better if they had just done cool dragon designs. Like, they're hyping up this gold dragon and it just looked like a bear with mange that had some gold on it. It was like it just wasn't a cool dragon at all. And I get that they were probably like, oh, let's do something that just feels more real, you know? But I was like, dude, come on, you can't hype this gold dragon that even The Witcher thinks doesn't exist. And then like throw us that. Yeah, it was so bad. It was so bad. And it's crazy that still, for my money, Reign of Fire, best dragons, hands down. Game of Thrones got close, but they fucked up on the wings. Big time. Right, like Game of Thrones, what I hated about their dragons, I hate when they do this kind of a shape for the wings. That skinny little attachment just fucking bugs me. I hate that shit. Whereas Reign of Fire did this awesome bit where you have the wings and then there's this long part that attached further down the body to like really make it feel like this massive thing could actually get lift, right? And it was just so much cooler, such a better silhouette. I just made it look like a Batman symbol, but it looked cooler than that. Yeah, that was on with Matthew McConaughey. But the dragon design in there was awesome. And like they put some thought into that. I actually met Matt Codd, who was, I think he was actually the main designer on the dragons. He's a friend of a friend. When I'd gone out to Baynek with Tiny Girlfriend and two of our friends, like my buddy knows Matt, and it turned out that Matt was going to be right in that area, so we met up with him. And so I got to see actually like the maquette that he had made of the dragon, of the big bull dragon, and it was so cool. The thing was rad. I guess he had a couple others, but they'd gotten stolen when someone broke in. Bastards. But yeah, I loved those dragons because the just the way that they moved, they really conveyed the bulk of these things and thought through like how could these things actually potentially do what they do, right? Well, Toothless is pretty rad. That's a whole other thing. No, I have to say, in How to Train Your Dragon, man, they had some great dragon designs, and the animation was fantastic. Oh, Dragonheart. The other thing that I loved about the Reign of Fire dragons was the way, like, everything, like, hung off the shoulders. I think it was actually more like. So it had this almost like wasp. If you've ever seen a mud dauber flying around, they're creepy as fuck with their legs all dangling. And so it had this like wasp kind of quality to it. That I just loved that body language. I thought it was so cool and just creepy. Their long ass tail. Wee. Oh, good old Falcor. One of these days, I will actually get used to running ads during the stream so that people don't get stuck with ads coming in, but I always forget. And that would be kind of silly because I'm not going to be on for that much longer tonight. I don't really care about seeing ads before a stream, really. I mean, the only annoying time is when I'm like looking for someone to raid and then I have to sit through ads. But in general, I don't actually care that much about. Like, I can wait 15 or 30 seconds. Yo, Malibu, how's it going? Well, of course he was. And thank you, Malibu, appreciate that. Yeah, it's gonna be a illustration of dragons that are about to wreak some havoc on some deserving someone. I don't know who, but whoever it is did a bad thing and they're gonna severely pay. You got Captain Crunch. It would be nice if, like, as the streamer, you at least had, like, you could choose between, you know, this, or this. That would show before your stream, you know? Just so that, you know, you could at least, like, have it be somewhat on brand, right? That would be nice. big guy back here. Yeah, I don't think they are targeted though. But I don't know, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I mean, it would make more sense if they were targeted, but I don't know if they are. I liked that one commercial, that one condom commercial. I want to say it was like a Danish one or something. Where it's just like this dad in the store with his kid, in the grocery store with his kid, and his kid wants some box of cereal or something, and his dad won't let him have it, and the kid just starts flipping out and like throwing shit around and knocking things off the shelves, and he's on the ground like kicking and screaming, and it says something about like, I forget what brand of condom it was for, but it was basically like he used condoms. It was awesome. And then, of course, every time I do something like this, and it takes like 3 seconds to indicate something in drawing, and then I have to remember that, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to actually paint that with lighting and form. Like, damn it, what am I doing to myself? It would be cool to get almost like lichen or something, like kind of growing on the really big behemoths. And then all this back here is really paint-wise probably going to be more about texture and brush marks and stuff. Like I'm definitely not going to be trying to show everything because it would just get so busy. Aside from being just a stupid amount of work, I feel like it would get too much to look at. Like, but we'll see, you know. It'll be about finding some kind of a balance between the right amount of detail in the right places and then you know, simplifying stuff for the sake of design. I don't even know what something this size eats. Does something this size eat? It eats households, not just single people. Entire herds of oxen. Yeah. Could eat other dragons. I know, the Cooper's hawk is always trying to get the doves at my girlfriend's place. It's gotten a couple of them. I feel like this is really just going to be about texture. Like, it doesn't even really matter what the hell it is. I'll just set up, you know, texture like in this area and just kind of like repeat it, right? It becomes just about the kind of form language that I set up for the rest of it. Oh, yeah, no, I actually want, like, I mean, okay, so the way that I envision this being painted by the end, because I like that idea, Joey, and it could go either way. You know, I think the way that I see this being painted at the end, like, there's no reason it couldn't be interpreted that way. I'm still going to actually paint them with some lighting and give them physical form, you know, but I am seeing them all being pretty monochrome, and then having some gold details, you know, some gold leaf details. So I feel like there will be an aspect where it could absolutely be interpreted that way. And I wouldn't be opposed to it. All right, we can do that. We can off our drawing guide for now. It's 10 o'clock. I should probably think about raiding someone. I do need to, you know, maybe get up at a kind of decent hour tomorrow. Man, I did not want to wake up this morning. What's Joyce up to? What is Joyce up to? One of our pen and ink friends. Ads. Remember those ads we talked about? My pleasure, Vistra. Well, I don't know exactly what Joyce is drawing. Looks like a pen and ink DJ. But hey, I love me some good old traditional. So let's raid Joyce Rainbow. Where's she at? Where's she at? Joyce Rainbow Art. We're gonna raid Joyce. I am going to be back Thursday night, so day after tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna start throwing some tone and painting this up a little bit, and prepping it to be the study for a big oil painting. So that should be fun. So join me Thursday night. Tomorrow night, you can hop on Autumn's stream at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's always a good time. For now, we're going to raid Joyce. She's doing some pen and ink. She's a traditional artist. Super rad. I love her stuff. Show her some love. And yeah, I will see you in a couple of days. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Much love to all of you. For real, the support, like hanging out with people, being able to do this stuff, super fun. I love it. So we'll do it again. All right, my friends. Bye. Peace, peace, peace.